Hey folks, in this video I'm gonna talk about the 5 things that I wish I knew when I was starting out my PhD. So, I don't know about you, but I have the tendency of looking back a lot at my past and rethinking my decisions and thinking what I could have done differently. And apart from this being a form of mental torture, I think that sometimes it can also be used as a way to avoid past mistakes and become a little bit better in the future. So this is why now that I'm finishing my PhD, I'm in my 4th year, I wanted to look back at the years of my PhD up till now and revisit some of the things that I would have liked to have known and done differently since that during that time. And hopefully this can be of help to anyone starting now or even anyone further along their PhD. So the first thing I would have liked to have done differently is to not worry so much at first to have the perfect project, question, experiment, the perfect anything. This kind of perfectionism early on can really paralyze you and stop you from actually starting your project and evolving and growing. You can get stuck into the stage of looking through literature and trying to think of the perfect question, which is all well and good. You of course need to have a well thought out experiments and project. However, it is essential in my experience to get some momentum going early on, to have some experiments, some data that you can work on and then get moving forward. And the effect that this will have is that it will increase your confidence in yourself, and it will also increase the confidence of your supervisor in yourself and in your decisions, and that will make things much easier in the future for you. The second thing I would have liked to have known early on is the importance of placing your boundaries as early as possible. So this is very important because your PhD is by definition your project. It's you being judged at the end and during your viva or your oral examination or whatever you will have. So it's necessary that you are the one moving your PhD forward. You can't have your decisions made by other people, and that's what will happen if your boundaries are not clearly defined or you don't fight for them or defend them properly. So what this means is that you need to avoid giving your time too much to side projects so that you end up with a project that is not really owned by you, which you're not able to defend in good conscience, and you end up with maybe second authorships, third authorships in other people's papers, but you don't have work of your own that you can show to a potential future employer or academic supervisor, for example. The third thing I wish I knew and paid more attention to during my PhD is my mental and physical health. Obviously, this is very important, but a lot of us, I think, a lot of PhD students overlook this area, and very often this might lead us also to burnout at some point during our PhD. An area that I would like especially to have paid more attention to is my sleep, because I had the tendency a lot earlier on to just work a lot, late hours, and then sleep quite late in the early hours of the morning, and then wake up very early again to go to the lab. So I would have weeks maybe where consistently I would get 6 hours or less of sleep. That's very bad, and I have since read the book Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker, and I have understood much more in depth the ramifications, the widespread ramifications that bad sleep can have on our both mental and physical health. I would recommend this book to anyone, especially PhD students, to be honest. And another area of my health that I really overlooked was proper nutrition, because I had uh, my pattern was that every time I would get stressed for anything, I would turn to bad food, to sweets. And I have made Sainsbury's very rich, I believe, during this time, during these 4 years. So please don't do the same, and try to, yeah, in moderation. Obviously you're still allowed to eat bad food whenever you want it, but yeah, try to keep an eye on that. And the last thing in this category would be to just seek the proper support and help whenever you feel that your mental health requires it, and make sure you have the proper environment around you with friends and loved ones that support you during this period, because it will be quite a challenging period. And this category of physical and mental health can be like a definitely a separate video all on its own. So please let me know in the comments if that would be of interest to you, and I will definitely address this in the future, I think. The fourth thing I wish I had done differently during my PhD is to maintain a proper habit of consistently reading papers, reading the academic literature surrounding my field. And this is mostly due to the notion of marginal gains and compound interest that over time makes a huge difference you can't imagine. But I would direct you to the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, where he explains this notion beautifully, and also explains how to efficiently and effectively create the habits that you want in your life. To be honest, I'm reaching now the end of my PhD. I'm really almost panicking about all the literature that is out there and I haven't read. And this would have been easily avoided if I had read, let's say, 3 or 4 papers consistently every week. Not more. I'm not talking about reading 10 papers a day. But yeah, just a consistent, slow rate of reading would have made a great difference, I think. And finally, number 5, it's comparisons. I think I'm especially prone to comparing myself to other people, but I think it's also quite common among people who pursue a PhD. I think we always wanted maybe to be the best in class, or the best at uni, or have the highest grades and all of that. And that naturally leads us to comparing to the performance and the success of other people. However, outside the confines, let's say, of school, high school, and more, organized classes and exams, this type of attitude can be very dysfunctional. It instead of leading to motivation, a lot of times it leads to paralysis. So because we also don't compare ourselves equally to everyone, we don't compare ourselves both to people that are doing better than us and people that are doing a bit maybe worse than us. We compare much more to the people that are better than us, and that leads us to chronically feeling bad about ourselves. And that obviously doesn't give us more motivation for doing the things we want to do, but it leads us to the opposite side, which is to stagnate and to lose our motivation. This is one of the things that Dr. Randy Paterson also talks about in his book How to Be Miserable. It's one of the, let's say, the important, the very effective ways of making yourself miserable is to compare to other people. And I think one of my next videos will be on this topic and about exceptionalism, about our drive to be in that little 1 or 0.1 percentile above everyone else, and how this can be very bad for ourselves and for our work as well. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something from my own mistakes and what I wish I had done differently during my PhD. Let me know in the comments whether any of this sounds familiar to you and how you yourself have coped with it in the past, and see you in the next video.